All right, on the bench, we got a Guild baritone, 8-string baritone. It's pretty cool. Got two coarse strings in the center for the D and the G, or whatever it is. Two center strings. Anyway, we got to fix this thing because there's a lot of tension on this here guitar, and all that tension did this. Kablamo. So somebody tried to quick fix it, and it did not hold. And it's, I don't know. I cleaned it off, and it fits back nice and tight. Everything's there. But I'm going to give it one more shot before we put another bridge on it. We'll try one more trick, which is I'm going to put it back in place again. And then I'm going to add some, like, cleats up top here, across here, and then bring them out, kind of like a butterfly cleat, and hold the edges of the corners of the saddle. Just come out here across the top and curl around and grab the top of that saddle. I got some nice rosewood that matches pretty good, and cut some cleats out of. A lot of tension on the top of that saddle, man. There's not much. They didn't make this with a lot of wood in front of this saddle, and the saddle's up pretty tall because the neck pitch is pretty good on it. So yeah, it's holding a lot of pressure. So not surprising. He said it was just in the case, and he came out one day and this thing was gone. So for fun, we'll try to make it work without replacing the bridge. Otherwise, we'll just get a new bridge. But I kind of went in here and with an X-Acto, get rid of any of the, just slowly went around and cleaned it all. Just try to work with the grain and even cut into it a little bit, give the glue a place to bite. That side of the equation, and then I went around and did this side of the equation, cleaned it all. Another thing I might do is take a little acetone. This rosewood is kind of oily, so even anything you're gluing, rosewood, ebony, some of these hardwoods, they're pretty oily. So yeah, this is going to be kind of so I'm going to use some Z-epoxy, which is good stuff. It's a finishing resin, but it's pretty darn strong epoxy as well, and it's really thin. That's one good thing about it. A lot of epoxies are pretty thick, but this stuff's really thin. It takes a little while to dry, so I'm going to have to get this in place. I got this caul that's going to go push it in from the front. Then I'm going to have a number of clamps on it with some other little cauls that these Lexan cauls that I have a little bit of a curve to that I use for like gluing down bridges. I'll get those put some tape on them so that they don't stick to the glue, and I might even wipe a little bit of mineral oil on them. And that way they don't get glued to the top of the bridge, but since they got the tape on them and stuff, that should keep it. And then I kind of tape up my cauls here, kind of do the same thing, put a little mineral oil on them, and just keeps that epoxy from adhering to my cauls so I don't glue this thing to the front of the bridge. But yeah, there's going to be a number of cauls, and got this little top bridge Lexan caul that's got a little bit of a curve to it. It matches the radius, so I'm going to have to put a clamp on there, so I need to clamp it down and this way. All right, fun time. Get my epoxy mixed up here. That looks good. And so we just have to kind of got my piece here. Make sure everything is cleaned off. I think ultimately I wouldn't trust glue on this repair, any kind of glue really, I don't think. But we are just going to lightly brush this stuff on here.
Too much on here. some squeeze out, but not like crazy amounts of squeeze out. It's not the easiest stuff to clean. Put a little bit under there. Like so. Push it in there, nice. Squeezing out up top here. It can all be kind of sanded back down and filled, as it will be later. Glue, but I don't want too much squeeze out coming up into this saddle slot either. We're going to have to go in there and clean it out. Too much craziness going on. I think that's probably pretty good. Hopefully we see some squeeze out. Come on there. Wants to run. Alright. Looks pretty good.
Alright, so now we got that in place. A couple of our cauls on each side here to hold this down, which I'm going to use this caul across the front. I'm going to use one of these.
I've got too much pressure right now. Just going to get it placed. Just pressure down. Just kind of hold it so it doesn't, on the bridge, doesn't need much pressure. That doesn't, not too much pressure at the moment going down on these. I will when I get here. Alright, now we kind of got that. Generally, I kind of got it mushed up there. Alright, how are we looking? Is this in a good spot? Now we'll start to get some squeeze. This one here. Try to keep the top protected. Boom. Now we can start. It's got a little bit of pressure coming in on it. So, get some pressure going down on this thing. Hold the piece down.
So these guys just hold that piece down to the top, and this guy holds that caul so it doesn't want to come flying up because of this pressure. All that needs to do. And then these guys, boom, there's some nice squeeze out right there, so it looks like we got a good spot. Things are coming in tight. It all looks even where it was supposed to be. Kind of a clamping contraption, but everything looks good. It's back into place. So, all right, it's been a few hours now, 3 hours or so. Glue, epoxy's setting up pretty good. It's pretty much hard in my little glue dish, and it doesn't seem to be moving. I can move this around, and if I loosen things up, everything stays put. So let's just get it. I kind of moved these things a couple times just to make sure that my cauls weren't getting glued to the surface. They stick a little bit, but that little trick when you just kind of brush some mineral oil on some just regular masking tape and then kind of hit them with some mineral oil. When you use a caul on something, if you need to super glue or even wood glue and stuff like that, but epoxy, it'll keep it, it'll stick a little, but then it pops right off. So just so you're not gluing cauls to your bridge or your guitar or whatever you're doing. That guy didn't get stuck. Alright, that goes over here. Move this over here. That guy didn't get stuck. So, a little messy, but everything went back nice and tight. And down here, let me show you what it looks like over here. Go back, here we go. So, a little messy at the moment, but I'm going to put those cleats on there, and that should be fun, trying to run my Dremel over top of this thing, but we'll see how that goes. And phase 2, getting ready to get started. So I got my cleats cut out here, some rosewood. I just cut them out with my handy dandy jeweler's saw, just like I would do an inlay. So I'm basically just going at it here to kind of tack them on there with just a little bit of glue for the moment, and I will score around them with the X-Acto knife. And then I will have to set up a little caul over top of here. I'm going to put like this thing over it and give me a base to run my Dremel. All right, let's see if we can do this thing. So I got my little guy set up here, scored around my piece with the X-Acto blade, and I kind of got it as deep as I could, and then rubbed some baking soda in there, actually just something white, just so I can see the line. I put some tape around it a little outside of it, but I want to see that knife score, so I put a little baking soda in there, and it just turned it white. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, so let's start cutting wood. And I could always go in there later, get it really close, and I can kind of take a chisel and X-Acto blade and get it closer. I think it's pretty good over there. I might go a little closer on that. Alright, looks pretty clean. I'll go a little deeper. So make sure that's not, yeah. I got a little deep. Alright, I don't want to go any deeper than that. Pretty close. Work on it. Still a little fat, but that's good. I can slowly work that in there. Alright, I think that's pretty good on that side. Now we'll do the other side. Number 2.
Deeper still.
enough that we can get her to fit cleaned up. All right, this is a crazy process, but who knows, right? All right, lots of fiddling and shaving and chiseling to get these to fit nice and tight, but I got them going in there. You can hear them, they're squeaking in there, but I think they're going to go all the way down. This one fits nice. So I just had to make sure all the little corners and everything are nice and fit right. I want this as tight as possible so that when we file it all off and get it in there, it'll fit nice and tight. There won't be any gaps on the sides. A little hair of one here and there maybe, but so there's the routes that I did, and then if you can see all that. Yeah, I guess you can see them. Cool. So I'm just going to use a little of the same epoxy that I glued this with.
And then try not to get a bunch of glue. Let's just flush. There we go, that's tight. Cool. Cool, now we'll do the next one. And get that one in. This one a little better. Do a little better job of fitting this one, but better job. That was pretty tight, but this one really nice and tight. I can also, since this epoxy kind of, you know how I work with epoxy is it likes gravity. It'll sink down in there. So we can, so it looks a little bit wonky at the moment, but when we're all done, alright, that's looking kind of crazy, but it's all good.
Alright. That's a little nutty, but all together and strung up. Wow, this thing does have a lot of tension, but it's a cool instrument. I love baritones, and but it all held, man. I got this thing tuned up to where he likes it, which is in B. You can see our cleats are holding fast, but man, even, you know, the saddle's pretty tall. I took it down a little bit because the action was pretty high, and I got it neck straightened out and the action down nice now, but it's still loud and proud, but the action's where it should be. So I could tell that if this thing had an extra tall saddle in it and he was tuning it up with these strings at that tension, man, I couldn't believe any bridge would hold. It was just, even on this, after my repair, it was creaking and stuff when I was tuning it up. But she's holding and she's cool. It's pretty cool. So we got it in B. Anyway, groovy old baritone. I dig it, but she's all fixed. Now we can come pick her up. Thanks for watching.